Hey guys, welcome back to the next lesson, which is another brain set session, and I believe one of the most important sessions that you're going to listen to me talk about. And it's something that I reference very heavily in everything that we do. In the whole Boost philosophies, we talk about the five core elements of well-being right at the beginning of this program, and it's something that has a thread throughout, and that is that of social connection. Think about the five core elements. We've got nutrition and activity, kind of two of the obvious ones really when you think about well-being. We've also got mindset, which more and more of us are beginning to become aware of as an important driving force in applying ourselves and the things that we say we want to do. We talk about recovery, and will we bring in sleep and psychological recovery and resilience training and so on. But also we have connection, which is missed out in so many programs, so many of the programs that I've run in the past as an explicit part of it. It's kind of implicit when you talk about groups and communities and so on, but I want to really address it explicitly today and talk about the role of connection in our holistic well-being approach. And in fact, it's not just something that would be a nice to have, it's an essential part of human development, human evolution. And for a fully experiential life, we really do need to pay serious attention to that of the role of connection. So we're going to talk about something, a specific part of the brain today, and I'll draw my little brain back up here again, just a very quick sort of recap on where we're up to with brain set. We talked about, very first session on brain set, we talked about the reptilian brain, right down there, the base of the brain, the top of the spinal cord, which takes kind of automatic behaviors, habits, fight, flight, freeze, food and fornication kind of responses or reactions, and those drivers for us to survive and to procreate and to kind of get food. That all takes place there in the reptilian brain. And we also talked then about the limbic system, which is this emotional system that it kind of evolved as we became mammals, and it is still very much an important part of our kind of psychology and the way we operate today. And that's where we're going to be focusing our attention today, a specific part of the limbic system. And then the prefrontal cortex, or the neocortex, in particular this part around here, the prefrontal cortex, where we have all our human functions like logic and creativity and future-based thinking. But let's come back to this point here just for a moment. And in here somewhere we have this thing called the ACC, and I'll refer to it as the ACC as we go along, but it stands for the anterior cingulate cortex, and it's a part of a bigger cortex which has the anterior cingulate, posterior cingulate cortex, the rostrum. There's all sorts of components in there, but the bit we're most interested in is the ACC, because what's happened as we've evolved is the ACC has grown in size and grown in importance, and it's very much concerned with connection. So if you think about this from your own experiences, we're all here, we're all adults, and we've all at one time or another being a child, and we've experienced, perhaps not remembering what it was like being a baby for the first couple of years perhaps, but certainly we've seen a lot of babies, and we've seen that bond between mother and baby in particular. Now, there's a very good reason for that, why mothers feel so defensive and so kind of in charge and capable of looking after their young, and why babies respond so very quickly to the kind of hugging and the touch of the mother in particular. And the reason for that is because we're hardwired from birth to need that connection. It releases all sorts of kind of hormonal cocktails into our systems when we have that feeling of touch, and it's why hugs and cuddles are so important throughout our life, but particularly as we're born. And if you think about it, if that wasn't the case, if we weren't driven to do that, then what would happen is the mother would give birth, and imagine it's kind of out there on the forest floors of the savannah, the deserts, give birth, and then either kind of walk away and leave the young, the offspring, or attack it or eat it or do something else that wasn't intrinsically useful for survival of the offspring, having given all that energy and work and danger into producing this thing, this living body, this living being, to actually then do something that wasn't conducive to helping it survive and to grow. So those bonds are formed very, very early on. It comes from the ACC, and that doesn't just stop having an effect as we go, as we get older, and our needs for our mothers and our parents to give us all the things that we need is reduced as it does as we get older. We become more capable of feeding ourselves and clothing ourselves and looking after ourselves until eventually we're fully grown adults and we're supposedly able to do all those things for ourselves. But this goes way beyond just mother and baby, mother and infant bond. This is an instinct to be tribal, an instinct to be a part of something, a part of a group, a part of a community. And if you think back again, 100,000 years ago, don't have to think back, but imagine 100,000 years ago, when we were tribal, we relied on being a part of the tribe or the pack or the group of people that we were with for our very survival. So when we think about a threat, it's not just a physical threat, but imagine being cast out to the outside of the tribe. Imagine being so different that people shunned you, they turned their back on you, and you were on the outside of the safety of the circle. Now, that's not great for our survival. So the ACC, again, has evolved to a point where it drives us to needing that connection. We need it, and we get a huge emotional response when we have it, and we get a huge emotional response when we don't have it. When we feel judged, when we feel threatened, when we feel hard done by, put upon, when we feel like we're not being respected, or we're being taken advantage of, or people are talking about you behind your back. All of these things are catastrophic as far as the ACC is concerned, and so it does everything in its power to prevent this from happening, because as far as it's concerned, it is a real and present danger to your survival. Now, when we relate this back then to what it means with regards to your ability to sustain and make continuously good decisions with regards to the goals you've set yourself, lose weight, tone up, get fit, run faster, live a healthier life, feel happier, all of these things, you do things today that are going to improve your future. So they improve a future you based on the decisions that the present you has to take. Now, if there's not going to be a future, if there's the chance that a future doesn't even exist, if you can't get beyond the moment right here and now because of the threat, then there's no point in doing things now that are going to be for the good of the future you. And so we start making decisions that are going to give us, eliminate the threat as far as possible in the here and now. Now, sometimes we're unable to do that. Threat, psychological threat, it might be that something, your boss has given you a big pile of work to do and isn't kind of saying thanks, isn't respecting you for what you're doing, or you feel like you come home and the kids are running riot and nobody's done the dishes, and you just feel like you're just being taken advantage of, and people don't appreciate what you're doing and the amount of effort and work that you have to put into everything. And when you start feeling like that, then you start getting into threat mode, and it's a psychological threat. Now, once you get to that point, we start behaving and start making decisions based upon the emotional response, which is to go into survival mode. And like I said, that often isn't in line or in keeping with the conscious human goals that we've set ourselves. So an example for that would be you come in at the end of the day and you're feeling tired, you're feeling overwhelmed at work, you come in, you feel like you're being disrespected, and so what happens is you realise that you're in this threat mode, and your prediction and response is completely reduced. So you're unable to predict the situation or what's going to happen next in the situation. So prediction and response is a real, we'll kind of keep coming back to this concept as we go through the program. Again, prediction and response, how much prediction and response do you have? When you're feeling calm and relaxed, you're able to predict exactly what's happening in the environment. But when you have limited prediction and response because you're in this threat mode, you don't understand. You're making assumptions. You're guessing that this is because my wife, my husband doesn't respect me, or this is happening because my boss thinks this, and he doesn't respect me. Therefore, he's never going to promote me. He's never going to promote me. Therefore, I'm never going to make more money. I'm never going to make more money. Therefore, I'm never going to progress. I'm never going to progress. Therefore, people around me are going to start hating me, and we start catastrophizing because we reduce the amount of prediction and response that we have. So what do? We find a way that's going to increase our prediction and response. And the way we do that, to create more certainty around the here and now, the immediate position, the immediate situation that we're in, is we do something we can guarantee is going to give us greater certainty. It's going to guarantee that we feel good right here and now. And how do we do that? Well, normally it happens at the end of the day. Certainly it happens with maybe reaching for a glass of wine. Maybe it happens because we hunt around in the cupboards, find something sweet to eat. Or we grab a takeaway because we know that that's going to make us feel good. We have the anticipation of it, the process of ordering it, and it comes, it smells delicious. And that does it for us. That gives us certainty. It's not great for the future version of us, but we don't care about that right now. We might even be having that conversation saying, I shouldn't be doing this. That's the logical side of you. And the voice in your head is saying, God, come on, you deserve it. What a day you've had. And so you end up going down that line. You have the glass of wine, you have the chocolate, you have the takeaway, or whatever it is that gives you certainty in that moment and reduces your perception of threat. Now, obviously, it doesn't get rid of the problem. The problem is still there, but there's an underlying reason for that, which is something else to address separately and personally. But the point of this session today is to help you understand how important connection is, and come back to that in just a moment, but also where it shows up in your life. So as you go through life, you'll feel, as you go through your day rather, you'll find that your threat levels are going to be up and they're going to be down. And as you sense that your psychological threat levels are rising, that's the point at which you need to be doing something about it. We're going to we're going to talk about safe havening in a later lesson. We're going to talk about things you can do when you spot the first signs of these emotional recipes coming together. When you know that you're tired, and you're hungry, and you're stressed, and someone says this to you, and someone says that to you, you have one more thing in there, and boom, you're going to go off one, you're going to start going completely off plan, it's going to be hard to get back on track. So as soon as you see that you're tired and that you're hungry, when you see two of these things, that's not enough to send you over the edge, but you start seeing two of those things, then you need to start taking some kind of evasive action, because you can predict what's going to happen. This is where you can predict what's going to happen, because you know that actually when all these things are in place, you know exactly what's going to happen. And with the best will in the world, thinking back to willpower, the best will in the world, it's not going to be powerful enough to overcome those emotional drivers that are going to tell you to do all the things that you know that you shouldn't be doing. So let's talk again about connection here and the importance of connection. Now, you could just say, well, as long as I'm not feeling judged and not feeling like people are talking about me behind my back, then that's okay. But actually, connection is a very positive thing. It's not just an absence of negativity. It's trying to go out there and find ways that you can become more connected. Now, I talk about getting involved in the Boost Facebook community all the time for one good reason, because you get that connection. You get that connection with other people who are going through similar challenges to you, who are overcoming the challenges, who are going through in similar situations, have their own experiences, and you're able to share that in a non-judgmental and supportive environment. So that's one way of getting connection. If there's a connection is missing in your life, then here it is on a plate for you. You don't have to be super active in there, but going in, occasionally commenting on someone else's post, taking part in the accountability post, or even posting your own stuff in there, your own questions and observations and experiences as well. So that's why I'm so encouraging of you to go in there and be a part of that, because I know how powerful it can be to feel like you're part of a community. Now, that's a virtual community. Yeah, we're all real people, but it's still virtual. Nothing is going to replace you going out there and being with other people and feeling like you're a part of something, and having a hug, or just being around other people who are like-minded and supportive, and again, non-judgmental. Now, again, everyone's kind of relationship status is going to be different. Relationship situations are going to be different. And if you have a very loving, caring family unit, then you have a lot of this connection already inbuilt. But if you don't have that, if you haven't got a partner to share your ups and your downs with, if you haven't got kind of the wider family unit that gives you that sense of belonging, then you need to find that from somewhere else. It's so important. And having a network of friends that you can call on, a network of people that you hang out with, whether that's going to exercise classes or running clubs, or churches that you frequent, even going to kind of coffee shop meetings where you get together with a bunch of friends once a week or a couple of times a week. It doesn't matter, but just finding something that you can connect with. Sports teams, another great example there. If you kind of play any sort of sport, get involved in a team. Badminton, table tennis, doing something where you're with other people is hugely important in improving your connectivity to something that's greater than you. And remember, this isn't just it would be nice to do this. It's an essential component of holistic well-being. Because if you haven't got that connection, then everything else starts to fall apart. You could start off with a great diet and a great training program and feel very positive, so your mindset's there, you're getting to sleep on time, so you're getting enough recovery in there. But if you haven't got that connection, then what happens eventually is this threat level starts to rise. You haven't got that network to fall back on when you do feel judged, and we're all going to get to that point. You know, it's going to happen to all of us where we're thinking, oh, actually, what do they think? Are they thinking badly of me? I can't quite tell what they mean by that. They looked at me kind of funny there. Do they not like me? And we feel a little sensitive. And the more we have this connection, the more we have this community of people that we're surrounded by, the less likely that is going to have an impact on us, to our detriment, to the point where our nutrition does go off track, our training does go off plan, our recovery starts to suffer because we're not getting as much sleep because we're stressed in the evenings, and all these other parts of the well-being, the core 5 elements of well-being start to disintegrate because we haven't got connection in place. So think about where you can get more connection. If you're struggling with that, then the first place to look is the Boost Facebook community, where we're there for exactly that purpose, not just for me to kind of give you more information, but for you to get into the community and to be a part of that community. The more you give, the more you're likely to get out of it as well. So there we go, that's the importance of the ACC and social connection, a little bit about why and how we've evolved for this to be an important part of our psychological makeup, where it shows up in your life right now, and what we can start to do about it to shore up those social connections and that sense of community within our lives. Hope you found that an interesting one. It's, like I say, one of my favourite lessons to teach, and I believe it can have a huge impact on everybody's lives, including your own. I'll see you here for the next video. Bye for now.